Thinking about the really difficult choices people face in love, especially when old patterns, painful ones, start coming back up, it takes real courage to face that, maybe even break a cycle. Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to help you get genuinely well informed on the topics everyone's talking about. And today we are definitely diving into a book that has sparked so much conversation. Colleen Hoover's It Ends With Us. It's had a huge impact, and for good reason. It really explores some complex stuff, love, abuse, and that really tough journey of personal growth. So our mission here is to pull out the key insights from a pretty detailed book review. We want to give you a shortcut, really, to understanding why this story hits home for so many people. We'll look at the themes, the characters, which are quite intricate, and yeah, even touch on some of the criticisms. It's all about getting you informed on a book that, well, gets people talking. The source we're digging into today is a comprehensive review published back on August 2nd, 2016. The book itself, contemporary romance, but also domestic fiction. It's around 384 pages and has a pretty solid Goodreads rating, 4.25 out of 5. Okay, so let's get into the heart of it, the emotional core. We meet Lily Bloom first. She's ambitious, moves to Boston, has this dream of opening her own flower shop. Seems straightforward enough.
And then she meets Ryle. He's this, charismatic neurosurgeon, very successful. He has this rule, no dating.
Right.
But almost instantly, he makes an exception for Lily. Their connection feels, well, it feels big right from the start, maybe a little too perfect.
Yeah, and what's really interesting, or maybe fascinating is a better word, is how fast that initial perfect picture gets complicated. Because just as things are really starting with Lily and Ryle, boom, Atlas Corrigan shows up again.
Her first love.
Exactly, her first love. And his reappearance isn't just like a simple obstacle or a love triangle, it's the catalyst. As soon as Atlas is back in the picture, these really painful truths about Ryle, his temper, his past, they start coming out.
And this leads directly into the main conflict, which is just gut-wrenching. Lily realizes she's in a situation that is scarily similar to the abuse she saw growing up with her own parents. So she's faced with this absolutely massive decision. Does she hold on to the love she has with Ryle, this intense connection, or does she find the strength, that immense courage to break this cycle that's haunted her family?
Right. And that's really what makes this story different, isn't it? It's not just another romance. The review calls it a raw, realistic depiction of intimate partner violence. What makes this portrayal stand out, according to the review?
Well, I think that's a key point. The review highlights that Hoover doesn't just, show the abuse happening. She really gets into the insidious nature of it.
Oh, so?
She shows how it can exist right alongside charm and success, and even what feels like real remorse from the abuser. Which, of course, makes the victim's choices incredibly complex and confusing.
Yeah, that sounds realistic.
It is. It avoids that simple, black and white, villain versus victim thing. It digs into why leaving isn't always straightforward. Those feelings of loyalty, maybe even love, they get tangled up in the fear and the pain. It challenges that easy answer of, oh, if it's bad, just leave. It shows you why it's so hard.
And the characters must be absolutely central to showing that complexity. Lily Bloom, especially. The review mentions her strength, but also her vulnerability. You feel her internal struggle, right?
Yeah.
Torn between love, loyalty, and just basic safety.
Oh, absolutely. She's drawn with such authenticity. And then you have Ryle. He's, as you said, complex, not just a mustache-twirling villain.
Right.
Hoover does a masterful job, the review notes, of showing how someone who causes harm can also be charming, successful, even seem sorry afterwards.
Yeah.
That mirrors real life, unfortunately, and it makes his actions really disorienting, both for Lily and, frankly, for the reader.
And then there's Atlas.
And then Atlas. He's kind of the counterpoint, isn't he? He represents, well, safe love. Empathy. He's Lily's anchor to her past, maybe, but in a good way. He offers this sense of security that Ryle just fundamentally can't. That contrast is really key to understanding Lily's impossible choice.
Okay, something else the review pointed out, which I thought was really interesting, was this narrative technique Hoover uses, Lily's childhood journal entries, written as letters to Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah.
It sounds a bit quirky on the surface, but how does that actually work in the story? How does it deepen things?
It's actually quite brilliant. It's not just a gimmick. Those letters act as this unique bridge between her past and her present.
Totally.
They give us this really intimate window into her childhood, into the trauma she witnessed and experienced. We see why she might react certain ways as an adult, how those early experiences shaped her ideas about love and pain and relationships.
So it connects the dots for the reader.
Exactly. It subtly shows how those generational patterns work, how they cast these long shadows, without being too overt about it. It
Hmm.
really helps you connect with her inner world.
Makes sense. And beyond the characters and these clever techniques, Hoover's writing style itself seems to be a big factor. The review called it crisp, emotionally evocative, and accessible.
Hmm.
It mentions consistent pacing, reveals that feel natural, authentic dialogue, and emotional moments that hit hard but don't feel, forced or manipulative.
Yeah, that style is absolutely crucial to the book's impact. It doesn't pull punches. And the review is right about it. It's a book that's very likely to make you cry.
I've heard that.
It really pushes you to question your own ideas about romantic love, and it definitely stays with you after you finish it. But, and this is important, while it can be really cathartic for some readers,
Yeah.
it's also potentially triggering. Given the intense subject matter, anyone who's experienced or witnessed abuse should be aware of that going in. It deals with tough stuff head on.
That's a really important warning. The review also pulled out a couple of quotes that seem to capture the essence. The first one, just because someone hurts you doesn't mean you can simply stop loving them. Wow, that really speaks to the complexity we were talking about.
It really does. It encapsulates that difficult truth.
And then the other one, the line that gives the book its title, it stops here, with me and you, it ends with us.
Hmm.
That line just feels incredibly powerful, especially by the end, embodying that whole theme of breaking the cycle.
Absolutely. It becomes profoundly meaningful. And, speaking of profound impact, that often brings us to, well, nuanced perspectives,
Yeah.
potential criticisms. Every impactful work tends to have them, right? It adds another layer to understanding it.
Right. No book is perfect or universally loved, especially one dealing with such heavy themes. So, what are some of the criticisms the review touches on?
Well, one that comes up is this idea of, does it romanticize abuse, even unintentionally?
Ah, okay. How so?
Some critics argue that the beginning stages of the romance with Ryle are painted in such an idealized, almost fairy tale way.
Yeah, I remember you saying too perfect.
Exactly. And the concern is that this could perhaps send mixed signals, especially maybe to younger readers, about what healthy relationships look like versus the warning signs of control or anger.
That's a fair point to consider. What else?
Another point raised is about the resolution. Some call it a bit simplified,
Meaning?
meaning that while the ending itself is empowering for Lily, some readers feel the shift from deep trauma to a place of healing, particularly with Atlas re-entering the picture as a supportive figure, happens maybe
Mm-hmm.
a little too quickly, a little too neatly.
Okay. Like the emotional recovery timeline feels compressed.
Sort of, yeah. It's a critique about the pacing of the healing process depicted in the narrative.
And then there's the whole social media phenomenon around this book. It blew up on TikTok, right? The review mentions that this huge exposure, while great for visibility, also kind of set up unrealistic expectations for some people. Like they went in expecting a light, fluffy romance.
Exactly. And then they were confronted with this incredibly intense, difficult story about abuse.
Mm.
So that disconnect between expectation, often fueled by short social media clips, and the actual content could be jarring for some readers.
Okay, so weighing all that, the powerful story, the criticisms, what's the final take from the review? The verdict.
The final verdict is overwhelmingly positive despite the nuances. It ends with us an emotionally raw, brave, and important story.
Okay.
It stresses that it's not your typical romance. It's a book that confronts those dark realities, the shadows behind closed doors, but it does so while offering the strong message of hope, empowerment, and the real possibility of change. The final rating reflects that, 4.5 out of 5 stars.
Solid rating. So who should pick this book up? Who is it recommended for?
Well, definitely fans of emotionally intense stories, maybe leaning towards romance, but with significant depth. Readers looking for narratives about resilience, strength, survival. And it's fantastic for book clubs because, wow, the discussion potential is huge.
Gotcha. And who should maybe steer clear?
As we mentioned, definitely readers who might be triggered by themes of domestic abuse. It's very central and graphically depicted at times. And also, anyone just looking for a light, easy, feel-good romance, this isn't that.
Right. Good to know. It helps people choose wisely.
Mm-hmm.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe a final thought for our listeners to chew on.
Yeah, I think this story really pushes us to think about the kind of strength it takes. Not just to survive something difficult, but to actively redefine what love and safety actually mean for yourself. It makes you ask, how do you tell the difference between loyalty to someone else and the fundamental need for self-preservation? And maybe most importantly, what kind of incredible courage does it take to finally say no more and break free from those patterns you might have inherited?